with Giselle Mirasol. Alternately airing ang Sunday Talk with Randy and Tony. Alauna, Pinoy Radio Center Stage with Ryan Pepper. Alas 2, ETC. Ito tayo mga caregivers with Ate V, Vilma Pagaduan. Alas 3, Money Matters. At iba pa with Danny Orbilio at Agnes Miranda. At pag alas 5, Kuya Kuis with Joey A. Paul and Friends. Alas 7, Cheers with Elaine. Alas 8 hanggang alas 8:30, OPM Waves with Teresa and Montoralba. Alas 8:30 hanggang alas 9, mga alon ng ating buhay with Kuya Nestor. At pagsapit ng alas 9 ng gabi, walang humpay na tugtugan. Airing the best of OPM. Magdamagan. Ito ang Sunday Halo-Halo Special dito lamang sa PinoyRadio.com. Pinoy Radio, a division of Bida Concept Broadcasting Network Incorporated.
Kick off my shoes, turn Pinoy Radio on. Few moments later and my favorite song comes on. I'm feeling happy, dance to the beat. Filipino music makes me feel free. The music touches my soul, makes me feel high. I'm loving life, proud to be Pinay. There's no other place that makes me feel home than tuning into PinoyRadio.com. This is the music of my life, fills me with love and so much pride. PinoyRadio.com, just log in, it's always on. PinoyRadio.com. Just log on, it's always on PinoyRadio.com.
We would like to express that the opinions, views, comments, and suggestions of the host in this program are purely their own and do not reflect those of Pinoy Radio. Emanating from MCBN Broadcast Center, you're all Filipino Radio. PinoyRadio.com. PinoyRadio.com. Bida Concept Broadcasting Network Incorporated. This is PinoyRadio.com.
Playing the latest hits.
Today's best Filipino music. Caregivers, unite! Your show is here. ETC. Ito tayong mga caregivers. Caregivers na nasa ibang parte ng ating mundo o nasa Canada mismo. Sama ka na sa palatuntunang tutugon sa iyong mga hinaing. Sasagot sa mga isyong bumabagabag sa inyong damdamin. Pag-uusapan ang mga temang napapanahon at mga hamon sa buhay ng mga caregivers ng kasalukuyang panahon. ETC. Kasama ang inyong ating Ate V para samahan, alalayan at tulungan kayo sa mga usaping labor o legal, immigration o reunification, services o settlement. Lahat ng yan sa ETC program nating mga caregivers. ETC, eto tayong mga caregivers with Ate V and Friends. Kasama ang iba't ibang mga organisasyon na ating katuwang. Kaya't mga kabayan, kaibigan, narito na ang inyong ka-ETC, Vilma Ate V Pagaduan. Kinig na ngayon na.
Ayan, magandang hapon po sa ating mga tagapakinig at mga nanonood sa Facebook, YouTube at sa iba't ibang social media. Ito po si Ateng, si Ate V ng ETC. Ito tayong mga caregivers. At last week po, medyo nagkaroon po ng isang shocking news ang ating community. Hindi lang yung ating community, kundi ang gobyerno ng Canada dahil po sa pagyao ng ating Senator Enverga. Siya po ay yumao habang siya ay nasa Colombia. At nakareceive po ako ng email from Mr. Eric Parungaw. At nandito po yung details ng public visitation. So, kung sakali po at kayo may panahon, ang public visitation po ng ating late Senator Tobias Enverga is meron pong tatlong choices, no? Friday, November 24, 2 to 9 p.m. Saturday, November 25, 2 to 9 p.m. Sunday, November 26, 2 to 9 p.m. sa Highland Funeral Homes and Cremation Center, 3280 Shepherd Avenue East dito sa Toronto. At ang kanyang memorial service po ay Monday, November 27, 10 a.m. po sa St. Michael's Cathedral Basilica sa 65 Bond Street, Toronto. Dito po sa may downtown na Toronto po yan. So, kami po dito sa MCBN, PinoyRadio.com at sa bumubuo po ng Filipino community at ng ETC, kami po ay nakikiramay po sa pamilya, lalo na po sa kanyang may bahay na si Rosemar at ang kanyang 3 dalaginding at sa kanyang mga kaibigan at colleagues, lalo na sa House of Senate. Kami po ay nakikiramay. At yan po ang ating shocking story na hindi natin inaasahan. So masasabi natin talagang life is too short, ano? So sana kung saan man si Senator ngayon, sana ay siya ay nasa piling ng ating Panginoon. At yan ang ating panawagan. Kung kayo po ay may panahon, pumunta po kayo sa Facebook, nandun po yung ibang details ng kanyang may mga public viewings or visitation. At sa hapong ito, I have a special guest. She shocked me also. She called me, Vilma. I am now the local and regional councilor of Vaughan. And I said, how did it happen? Let's all welcome Sundar Singh, our new kids on the block. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much, Vilma, for inviting me here to talk to you and to all the listeners. And this is a privilege and a great pleasure to be here.
Oh, the pleasure is mine because, you know, we have to invite you because you have a new post. Because Miss Sundar used to be the long-time executive director of Elspeth Hayward Center for Women. So yes. I always bug her when she was there if I have cases for abused women.
That's
you know?
Right. Yeah.
I always call her and help me, you know. Caregivers who were abused by employers also.
And
she's
sure,
always
we
there.
work together. Yes.
And I hope that she will still be there kahit na you have a new post.
I am always there if anyone calls and would like to meet with me for any issues that they wish to discuss and they need empowerment. I am always available.
Yeah, you mentioned empowerment because you always empower women. We are going to talk about women empowerment, the dowry system, and the this is a little bit gender equality.
Of course, that's right.
Woo, medyo political. Now, you've always been empowering women, even when you were the executive director of Elspeth Hayward. So, how are you going to do it now that you have a new post?
Well, at the executive director, as an executive director, I was working in a very micro level. In my new position in politics, I am working at a macro level.
Bigger.
So I'm doing basically the same thing with regard to the community services. However, I am promoting the services for women empowerment, not only in the community agencies but also in schools as well.
Oh, so it broadens your horizons.
Totally.
And
does.
also broaden your financial capabilities so you can reach out more, eh?
That's right. Yes, we are able to reach out to
So,
more people.
when you say women empowerment, can we explain first? How can we, or is there such a group of women that we need to empower?
Well, first of all, we need to understand what women empowerment means. It is a promotion of gender equality. When women are brought up to believe that they are second to men, then they begin to live a life like that. They are subservient. They believe that they have to listen to men to survive. And so when you empower women, you make them understand that their intelligence level, the emotional level is equal to men.
And also the responsibility level.
And the responsibility level, women have always outshined men. in
The
many
workforce.
fields and all fields actually. Women have been good in education. They participated in the space activities, and there are doctors, there are professors, they're in all professions, wherever you.
In the politics.
Yeah, and
right?
they're in politics as well.
Okay, you mentioned subservient and you mentioned brought up, because like us, we're both in Asia.
Yes.
From Asia actually.
Sure.
And Asian women are brought up like being subservient. Like you don't question. You just say yes because that's how you were brought up in your home, in
That's
your
right.
culture. So when you say brought up and women are subservient, because this is not the Canadian, women per se.
Mm-hmm.
So when you mentioned that, so this is the empowerment that you're talking about, refers to this group of people who came to Canada?
No, the women's empowerment is very broad, and it is for everyone from the time the child is born. The mother of the child has to continuously empower the child, whether it's a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. And the daughter needs to understand that she's equal to her brother, if there's a brother at home. The mother has to provide that education to the child, that to live in this world, there has to be a balance, and we
That
have to
gender
live together
equality,
between, the men and women have to live together.
Yeah.
Right. So that is important, and to prevent injustice, to prevent that kind of aggressive behavior towards women, it is the mother who first plays the role. And in my position now, I'm trying to meet up with the schools and the decision makers who are educators, and tell them that the empowerment and the gender equality needs to start from the schools as well. So it should be part of the curriculum. That means right from the kindergarten, the child has to
Learn all these things.
Yeah.
So what other tools you have for you to empower women or even the children that you mentioned at school?
Okay, so the biggest tool is the mother, of course. Like you talked about, that right from the time the child is born, the mother has to understand that son will do the dishes, for example,
And cooking.
and the cooking, and then the daughter will take the garbage out, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Or
But
do the shoveling outside.
that's right. And but labeling the baby girl and the baby boy by putting on only pink for the girls and only blue for the boys, we begin to play on their psyche right from the beginning. Girls play with dolls,
Yeah.
and boys play with trucks.
Because
and
I remember when I was growing up in Philippines, my neighbor said boys cannot wear pink because that's a girl's color. And I was playing guns, and my father said, "You don't play guns. That's for boys."
yeah.
So
But,
actually,
boys look very
equality
nice
should
in
start
pink.
at home, eh?
Yes, that education starts from home, and then we are looking at building the curriculum for the schools. The schools are asking now, what is part of the curriculum? This should be as natural as a child who learns how to write, who learns how to read. Eventually, it just becomes part of his life. When they read, they don't think that they're reading, and they're writing. And the same way, when gender equality is taught right from the beginning of school, it becomes part of their life. Okay, and when they see things that are different, then they can speak out and they say, "No, this is wrong. We are all equal." Yeah.
So, do you find it harder to empower women that are coming from these suburban countries like Asia, India, Philippines?
Yes, we have to deprogram many women who believe. I had a group of women with whom I was having a discussion, and these were all older women. And after the long discussion about the gender equality, and I was empowering them. At the end of the discussion, one woman raised her hand and she said, Sundar, you know what? It makes a lot of sense what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, the next generation may change, and the generation after that will completely change. But this generation, let me tell you, we cannot change. We still are afraid of our husbands. We still obey our husbands. But for us to change at this stage of life is very, very difficult.
So how do you approach those kind of situations?
We have to speak openly to them. We have to give them stories. Stories are very, very important part of education. So we continue to talk to them. They understand. They nod. They participate in discussion. But the key thing is, they're all mothers, right? So we ask them to empower their daughters. We ask them to make sure that the daughters are fully educated, and they become professionals.
But what about the husband? Do you include the husband in the discussion?
It's very important to include men in the discussion, especially those who do support the cause of the women, because they then go out and they advocate for the women. Yes, and we've had men in the groups, and we've had a very
is it
live
more
discussion.
effective if the husband is included in the discussion?
Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes women want to open up, they want to vent out, they want to talk about their issues only when they are with the women. But with the men, the discussions are also very rich, especially those men who support the cause of the women. Yeah.
Okay, you keep mentioning the gender equality or inequality. So the gender inequality refers to is it an equal treatment or just an equal perception?
No, it's equal treatment, and of course the perception. But gender equality means living a natural life. Men and women live together because one cannot live without the other. Okay, and but
I survived.
most people do. We are human beings. We put us in any condition and we will survive. However, the gender inequality has impact on mental, physical, and emotional aspect of the woman, and she's the one who has to bring up the children. She has to bring up the future leaders of the country, and she has to be mentally strong. She has to be physically strong to be able to raise a family.
Of course,
yes.
Women are strong. We're the only one who bears children, not men.
That's right, exactly.
So, do you think that empowering women can boost economic development?
History has shown that when women run businesses, they run households, they've always been successful. The reason why women, when they take on a project, they are successful is because they're not afraid of asking questions. They will always ask questions, and they move on, and they continue to move forward. They don't have that ego issue with themselves. Yes, of course, women, if they are qualified, they are educated, they become valuable contributors towards the economic development. However, you don't necessarily have to be an educated person or a professional to be to contribute towards the economy. If you look at the villages where women got together and with a little bit of loan, they have started businesses. They have done work with their hand.
They have a lot of handcrafts.
Yes, and they are looking after the families. The children are now going to schools, and
women are multitask person. She can look after the children. She can clean at the same time. She can go to the computer, and she does everything. Men, I know for sure, once they do something, they have to focus on one thing and then do another thing after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Women by nature, most women are multitaskers. Yes.
After the election, I know, our Prime Minister Trudeau appointed women in the cabinet, and that made him an icon in the international arena. He also said that Canada is stronger because of its diversity, not in spite of it. What do you say about this?
I'm thrilled that our leader is taking the steps to make sure that women are now coming into politics. By coming into politics, a lot of women are empowered. Not only empowered, they are inspired. If they see a woman in politics, other women feel, maybe this is one area I need to be in as well, so that I can make changes in the society. And we all aspire to make changes in the society, and politics is one way of doing it. And encouraging women to be part of it, it's a wonderful thing. Yes.
But do you really think that gender inequality really exists still in Canada?
Absolutely, yes. Not as much as many other countries. However, in Canada, yes, there is a lot of gender inequality which still exists. Don't forget that not very long ago, women did not have a right to vote even in Canada.
Really? When?
In the early 1900s, women could not vote here, and women had to fight for their rights. And we have a constitution, we have the Human Rights Code,
Charter, yeah.
and that's right, and it protects the rights of the women. However, at home, not necessarily women are treated equally in many of the families, and especially the concern now is because there are people coming from other countries, and they bring their values and the culture into this country, and it takes a while for them to understand that that does not gender inequality does not work in Canada.
Maybe we should give them the quote and quote says that do what the Romans do.
That's right. Exactly.
I always bring it to me. It's,
Sure.
everywhere I go,
Yeah.
I have that little verse. So, in 2016, the Honorable Judy Wilson introduces the bill C-16 to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and Criminal Code, and this bill has received royal assent and is now a law.
Yes.
And it includes gender identity and expression. Does this law shows that how far we've come, Canada, how far we've come in terms of inequality?
We
or
have
equality?
done a wonderful job, yes, to be inclusive, to include everybody together. After all, we are all human beings. We are living beings, and it does not make sense at all. Intuitively, it does not make sense to exclude anyone. And yes, Canada has done
great job for this.
Great job. Yes, I commend them for this.
And because the Prime Minister started it all, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I think the parents at home, just like what you mentioned a while ago, the equality has to start in the house,
That's
at home,
right.
with the
Yes.
parents. Teach the boys how to do, cleaning, dishes, or cooking.
That's right.
And girls can do the shoveling,
That's right.
gardening,
That's right.
because these things, we don't have this in Philippines, the teachings, the education, because women has to be like,
That's
you just have to obey your parents, obey the elders, obey the men.
Yeah, it's been very sad. A girl would be studying in school all day long, and she comes home tired, and the brother's sitting there watching television, and
Play
the mother
games.
says, "Oh, your brother needs a glass of water. Go get him a glass of water. Why can't he get up and go get his own glass of water?"
So, what other inequality, gender inequality, have you experienced so far that made you say, like, you were so touched of the situation?
Well, I heard a lot going on in schools where girls were sexually assaulted, they were abused, and they were bullied. But these girls were afraid to go and talk to the parents at home. The school system has counseling where the girls can go and report, but the girls are still very afraid to. And we heard about this time and again. And based on what information we had received, we started to talk to the educators and ask them what is it that they can do to bring this education right from the beginning. And of course the information we received was that we already have a system in place, but the question is this system working? Is this really working? Putting information on a bulletin board, creating awareness, and encouraging students to go see the counselors is all very good, but we need to take proactive action. We cannot cure the symptoms, we have to cure the disease, and that can be done by taking proactive action. Yes.
So now that you're in position and you have a special post right now, so how do you empower women, and when do you want to start it, or did you start it already?
Empowering women is an ongoing thing. I am in a position where I meet with a lot of professional women. I meet with women who are highly educated, and I find that the problem exists among them as well. It's not shocking. I have dealt with it in my former position, but here I'm more exposed to such women, and I have more opportunities to sit down and talk to them. And there's a level of trust where women can speak to me, and I see that there is an issue that's quite prevalent.
How do you empower women, especially those who came from this very subservient country? How do you empower them without jeopardizing or without hurting the tradition and the culture?
Okay, so the question that I ask the women, what is your responsibility? Where do you see that you're responsible for your own body, for your own self? Why do you allow women or men to hurt you? Why would you allow another human being to abuse you? This is your body. You have a right over your body. So when I say this, I immediately catch their attention, and then they're able to listen, and you can see that they are now getting empowered. And once the women understand their own responsibility, that there is a zero tolerance. If anybody does abuse them, something does not feel right, they have to put a stop to it, and they have to say no, never again. If you do this ever again, there will be no tolerance.
So we have laws about inequalities, or just like what I mentioned about the Honorable Judy Wilson just had this law. So do you think the law is really working, or is it really powerful, or do we still need more laws about this
we need
issue?
to educate people.
Just educate.
Yes.
I think education is...
Yeah, you can have all the laws you want, but if you don't have someone monitoring it, okay, what is the use of having laws? For example, laws about dowry system.
Yeah, we will talk about that. Yeah.
They're very strong in India, but it's not followed because we don't have the monitoring system in place by the government. If you hear of someone asking for dowry, you just simply put them in jail. And
not here.
Not here. Here.
Now you mentioned dowry, because in India and Middle East, some part of Middle East, dowry is a form of gifts or money to for a marriage if you have a daughter or something.
Yeah.
But the only difference between the two from India, it's the woman who's giving the dowry to the groom.
That's right. Dowry system has been in place for thousands of years. It used to be in the royal families. When the royal families intermarried, then land was given. Mumbai, formerly known as Bombay, it was given as a dowry to Charles II, I believe.
Oh, really?
By his Spanish wife, her family. And so dowry system prevailed, and it has prevailed for hundreds.
I got a dowry actually, 1 sack of rice.
So dowry can be anything. It can, but it becomes a huge social problem when there's extortion. When I say to you, if you want to, if your daughter wants to marry my son, then you have to give $50,000.
So is dowry happening in Canada?
Yes, it's very prevalent amongst the South Asian communities. Most of them don't, but many still do. Yes.
And there's no law governing this dowry system?
There is no governance procedure here, to my knowledge, that we have something specifically saying in the Constitution that dowry is illegal. However, extortion is illegal. So if somebody charges another family for asking for dowry, then they can be charged for extortion.
Now that you are in the position, you are in that line of politics, do you think in the future you would do something about having a law or governance in terms of dowry system here in Canada?
Yes, I will have to do a lot of research to find out how bad it is here in Canada. I do hear stories again and again, but how bad is it here? Then of course we have to look at what we can do to promote bringing a policy in place.
Yeah, because that would be good, because as you mentioned, dowry, you said it's affecting all systems of the the person involved, like the mental capacity, emotional, because it promotes also extortion.
Sure. It became a trend not too long ago, a few years ago, where the boys would go back to India and get married and draw a lot of dowry from the girl and then fly back to Canada.
Oh, really?
And once they came back to Canada, they simply disappeared. Okay, and then with no record or whatever, the girl is still waiting, and meantime the boy is going back to India, getting married to someone else, and then taking the dowry from that girl, coming back to Canada, and the girl is
so it became
stranded.
a business also.
Yes, it became a huge crime. Hundreds of women in Punjab, which is one of the states in India, where they, women were stranded. 400 to 500 women
That's
each year.
terrible.
Yeah, and searching for their husbands. They're married, but what do? They're sort of hanging in the air. They don't know whether they're married or they should ask for divorce because the man is not there. He's simply disappeared, and all he's done is taken. The family has demanded gold, cars, and if the girl wants to come, he may ask for another $50,000. If you want to come to Canada, then ask your parents to give me another $50,000.
So what will happen to the girl, or can someone help her get back all those dowry?
Yeah, the system is now in place. There are a lot of the federal government has put a stop to it. So people cannot do that. If they do, they are simply put in jail or
Revoke the
totally.
whatever immigration status you have.
Right.
So what do you advise women, especially those women who cannot speak up, or women who are still under the shadow of the husband? I'm not.
Advising them, you mean to say in the area of dowry?
Yeah, in the area of women empowerment, gender equality, or dowry.
That's right. Women have a lot of hope. Emotionally, they are very flexible. They have hope that things will change. The husband will change. Something is wrong, not right now, but I can make things happen. I can make things change. Most of the time it does not happen. Majority of the time it does not. When during the early stage of marriage or relationship, a woman feels that the behavior of her fiance or her husband does not feel right, she has to communicate with him directly and say, no, this will not be tolerated. And then she has to ask her own self, is this the type of life she wants to lead? And that question has to be asked seriously. And if the answer is no, this is not what how I want to live, then she's better off to break away that relationship and move on with her life. That is why education is very important for a woman, because we don't know what can happen. Today things seem to be fine, but tomorrow something else can happen. But at least she can fall back on the education. Education is like her investment.
So now that you are the new counselor, local and regional counselor of one, are we going to have a lot of workshops or seminars for women, especially those from the abuse sector?
What I would suggest, Vilma, is I enjoy going into women's groups and giving talks. So if the Filipino community, for example, all the caregivers get together, they have a day to come together, I would love to come and talk to them.
Yeah, I will.
So if something like that can be arranged, I would enjoy coming and talking and answering questions for women and telling them stories of how women have been empowered, the issues women have faced and how they got out of it. And that would be a very enjoyable experience. Sure, yes.
Thank you so much, Sundar.
Thank you.
You've always been a good help for the community.
Oh, I am always there to support you and your community.
Oh, I will support you also with your new post. Just let me know when ETC will be there and the community will be there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. No, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. And that is our episode for today. At eto po si Ate V, ang inyong ateng dito sa ETC. Eto po tayong mga caregivers. Thank you so much sa mga na-PR ang ating IRCC ministers. Really working hard para mapakinggan ang ating hinaing ang mga backlogs unti-unti na. Kagabi, we have the 9 years waiting permanent residency. Yuhu! At saka yung mga 8 years, 7 years na PPR na po. So maraming salamat po. Thank you so much, Minister. At ito po ang inyong episode dito sa PinoyRadio.com.
Ang inyong linggo ng hapon at gabi ay mag-iiba. Narito ang Pinoy Radio Supercharged Weekend Schedule. Alas 12 ng tanghali hanggang 1:00. Property Talks with Giselle Mirasol. Alternately airing ang Sunday Talk with Randy and Tony. 1:00, Pinoy Radio Center Stage with Ryan Pepper. Alas 2:00, ETC. Ito tayo mga caregivers with Ate V, Vilma Pagaduan. Alas 3:00, Money Matters at iba pa with Danny Orbilio at Agnes Miranda. At pag alas 5, Kuya Kuis with Joey A. Paul and Friends. Alas 7, Cheers with Elaine. Alas 8 hanggang alas 8:30, OPM Waves with Teresa and Montoralba. Alas 8:30 hanggang alas 9, mga alon ng ating buhay with Kuya Nestor. At pagsapit ng alas 9 ng gabi, walang humpay na tugtugan. Airing the best of OPM. Magdamagan. Ito ang Sunday Halo-Halo Special dito lamang sa PinoyRadio.com. Pinoy Radio, a division of Bida Casa Broadcasting Network Incorporated.
maraming salamat po. Ito po si Ate V ng ETC. Magkita-kita po tayo next week, Sunday, dito po sa PinoyRadio.com.
Isa na namang siksik na hapon sa palatuntunan para sa ating mga ka-ETC. Caregivers Hour sa PinoyRadio.com.
Maraming paksa na sanga-sanga na napapaloob sa caregivers.
Ito tayong mga caregivers. ETC. Sari-saring tema, halo-halong usapin, tutugon sa mga isyu, sasagot sa mga tanong.
Kayo po ay nakikinig sa Pinoy Radio at napapanood